Hello, my curious souls. Welcome in or welcome back. I hope you are all doing well out there and enjoying the last couple of weeks of 2024. If you are looking for your 2025 forecast, I will link that here and in the description box below if you are interested in that. My name is Amanda. Thank you for being here and sharing your time and energy with me today. Thank you for allowing me to read your cards for you, to offer clarity, guidance, or inspiration for your month ahead, the month of January, and that is what we are going to be reading about today. As always with these readings, please trust your intuition and decide what feels best and lovingly leave the rest. So we have 4 soul paths here to choose from. If you feel ready to dive into your reading, the timestamps for each soul path are in the description box. However, for those who would love an introduction to the soul paths, let me do that now. For soul path 1, we have the tree agate stone. For soul path 2, we have the peach moonstone. For soul path 3, we have the amethyst crystal. And for soul path 4, we have the selenite stick. When you feel ready, use the timestamps in the description to jump straight into your reading, and we will see you over there. Hello, my soul path ones. Welcome into your reading. You chose the tree agate stone, and we will pull a card to get a theme of the reading, maybe a theme of the month. We will see. Okay, so we have the white-tailed deer, pause, assess, and act. So there could be an element in the month of January where you have to take pause before you make a decision, before you act on something. There's an assessment that is happening. There's an observation that is happening. Deer are very astute. They are very keen to know everything about their surroundings before they take action. They stop to pause and look around before they exert any energy or effort in doing something that may be or may not be futile. So this almost gives me this feeling of you having to pause to observe something, to understand something, to see something from a different perspective, and assess whether or not it is for you, assess what kind of action you need to take, if any, and then put in motion whatever action you see fit based on that assessment. So I'm getting a lot of Hanged Man energy from this. I'm getting a lot of Seven of Pentacle energy from this. There's also gentility as well as familial connections. Especially we have the buck, the doe, and the fawn. So there's possibly family ties here. There is ancestral ties here that may have something to do with this pause, assess, and act. But there's a feeling of not rushing things. There's a feeling of not jumping to conclusions, but instead to take that time to really think about things rather than reacting from maybe an emotional space or a stressful space or a fearful space. So let's get into the tarot reading today to take a look at your January, your month ahead. And I did do a 2025 future forecast reading, which doesn't necessarily talk about predictions per se, but it does talk about things that you may need to be aware of or may need to address in the year of 2025 and what kind of energies are incoming. So you can check that out in the video link in my main page, or I have linked that in the description box below. So let's just get a sense for where you are. So there's something that you definitely want to act upon here. I feel that it is an opportunity that you are going to be quite happy with, quite fulfilled with, that is possibly coming your way. However, I feel it's going to require a little bit of a long-term commitment from you. This isn't a windfall. This isn't a lottery win where you instantly get that material wealth or material gain within a 24-hour period or less. This is something that you have to show up for, continually put energy into, and invest your time, money, and resources into in order to see results. So this could very well be career or job related. You could get a really good opportunity to work for someone that you're really excited about working for in terms of company, or you could be starting your own business or starting something up. There's a real strong sense of leadership and confidence here. I feel like you have or do have a lot of experience behind you, and you're really passionate about whatever this opportunity might be, whatever this thing is that has sparked something in you. So you could be leading people, you could be inspirational to some degree, you could be creating something using your skill set that you have learned over the years. But I really feel like this is a really lovely energy to start the year. But again, because of the Pentacle, I am getting a little bit of a slower moving energy here. Let's just pull one card for the challenge. Yeah, so Page of Pentacles is part of your challenge, which is to be able to focus and not scatter yourself too thin. Especially when we get excited about something, we want to go full speed, we want to dive right into the deep end. And that might be okay, but just be mindful of where you focus your energy and how quickly you move, because the wands can be a very fiery, very passionate, very determined energy that continues to push forward regardless of the obstacles and the challenges. But there is a little bit of a slowing down energy. So again, coming back to that pausing, assessing, and acting, you have the energy to act, but I feel like there's a pause and reflection aspect coming in with these pentacles. So I feel that whatever this opportunity is going to be a little bit new for you. So even though you have experience under your belt, you have a fiery passion and excitement for this thing, it's going to require a different set of skills that I feel you are new to or have to develop over time. So just be mindful of that. There's some things to learn here, some things to understand, and there's a mindful pace that is required in this new opportunity, whatever that may be. So now that we've kind of gotten a insight into kind of where you are, maybe what you're looking for, what you're aspiring to, possibly what might be coming towards you, let's get into some more detail here. So for Soul Path 1, please, Spirit, we'll do 4 cards. 4 of Swords at the foundation. Woo! Ooh! Oh my goodness. Wow. That's unfortunate. This is a new deck. Oh, good. Okay. So that was interesting. I feel like you're going to avert some kind of disaster. And you'll be able, you're not gonna, it's not going to break you. It's not going to damage anything. But I feel like there's going to be something that happens and you're going to be able to navigate around it. You're going to be able to problem solve. So don't worry about that. 4 of Swords in the reverse at your foundation, which speaks to taking that pause, or maybe an aversion to taking that pause. There's some mental energy that possibly has been expended that needs to be processed. Okay, so let's look at past energy now. We have the 8 of Cups in the upright. 2 more. Kind of what your aspirations are. Queen of Cups. And what you're moving towards. Knight of Wands. And there is cornstarch on these as well. Sometimes the cardstock can stick the cards together. And so cornstarch, a little tip for the tarot readers out there, is cornstarch to be able to put air and resistance in between the cards so that they don't stick together. Okay, so this more detailed portion of the reading, we've got 4 of Swords in the foundation. So again, we have a pause or a stepping back, or giving yourself a little bit of a mental respite from something that you have moved through, something challenging that you have moved through, something maybe that you have put an end to or said goodbye to. And we do have the 8 of Cups here in the past position. So this tells me that there is something that has either been processed or needs to be processed in order for you to show up fully in the new opportunities that are coming towards you in January. So I feel, emotionally speaking, you have either left behind things or are going to leave behind things that are no longer serving you. So this could be fears, this could be doubts, this could be the idea that you don't have enough or aren't enough. This could also be relationships as well. So there's an assessment that may have happened when it comes to relationships, and now you are making the decision to walk away from something. In order to do something on your own, in order to clear up a little bit of emotional space, to be able to step into something that is a little more rooted in calmness, serenity, tapping into your own sensitivities, honoring your emotions as well, and really connecting in with those inspirations, those dreams, those aspirations that you want to move towards. So you are creating space for your emotions, whatever those emotions may be, so that you can really listen to what your soul needs and what your soul wants, versus maybe what others feel you should be doing or what others feel they need from you at this time. So I'm getting quite a bit of a nice balance coming through here, because you have made some hard decisions about not doing something, about saying no to things that doesn't really feel good to you or that no longer aligns with you anymore. And so I feel like that's why the Four of Swords is here, but it's in reverse, because I feel that some of you may have already gone through this processing, this mental processing, and officially moving on from something, but there's others of you that are maybe resisting that stepping back to take time out to really understand something or learn something, or simply give your mind a little bit of a rest before you move on to the new things. And the Knight of Wands in your future position is this feeling of going after something with a lot of fire, with a lot of desire, and maybe even a little bit of impulsivity, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. When you know, that's the feeling that I'm getting from this. So whatever you've walked away from has created the energy and the space and the inspiration and the desire to move towards what you actually do want to achieve, what you do want to move towards. So there is this interesting pause, assess, and act energy that is coming out here with all of these cards. So let's look at your environment now. Two of Wands. There's a lot of, again, some more wands here. We do have, again, some assessment about the future and where you want to go in the future. So that could be because of the things in your environment. Your hopes and fears are the Moon in reverse. There's a hope that you can avoid the discomfort that maybe January might bring with some of these decisions that you're making, and a little bit of a shift that you are deciding to make. But there's also a fear of that as well. There's a fear of the unknown. There's a fear of discomfort. There's a fear of maybe going down the wrong path. So there's a hope that you can be able to do this with grace and do this with a lot of clarity and ease, but there's also a fear that you won't be able to. But I almost feel like that is required in order for you to move towards this thing that you're kind of really excited about. So let's look at where you're going to be energetically at the end of the month. And we have the Ten of Swords, which is kind of a cool energy, especially when it's in reverse. That means you have traversed the challenges. You have moved through the challenges with grace. Yes, there could have been some dark times, but the benefits and the things that you will gain far outweigh the discomfort and the fear. So I feel like that is kind of the energy that is going to encompass your January. And here we have the Hanged Man, but it is in reverse. So again, we have that pausing to assess and see things from a different perspective, but it is in the reverse. So I feel like because it's in the reverse, either you have done that already and are now acting upon that, or there is a resistance to this. And that is why this card came out for you to make that sort of a theme for the month of January, to not jump into anything, but really take the time to feel into it, to create space, to be able to see things from a different perspective, even distance, physical distance from that thing that you are thinking about, that you are wondering about. And that's also what this Eight of Cups is this movement away from kind of all of the emotions that are involved in a particular situation or in a connection with a particular person, to be able to really understand how you feel about it outside of the influence of the environment or people that you might find yourself around. So I don't think I need any clarifiers for this because this was pretty straightforward. I do want to get some cards now. And because the moon is here, I am going to pull from this Moonology deck to give us a final oracle card for your reading today. Final words of wisdom. Abundance. And cut your losses. So cutting, I feel like in order to move towards the abundance that you're looking for, you have to cut some losses here. And I feel that with the Eight of Cups. I feel that with the Ten of Swords in reverse. I think you're going to do that. And you're going to step into something that feels really fulfilling, that feels really you. Really aligned to the things that you're inspired by, that you're motivated by. And you're really starting to tap into your own sensitivity, to honor your emotions, to honor how you feel. And that also gives you greater capacity to help others as well. So that is also part of that abundance, is you feeling that abundance, to creating space for, and also bringing other people into the fold to be able to also feel that abundance and experience that abundance as well. So this is what I have for you, Soul Path 1. I do hope that resonated and was helpful to you. With gratitude, I'm sending you my love. Stay curious, and I'll see you in your next reading. Hello, Soul Path 2. Welcome into your reading. You chose the Peach Moonstone, and we are going to pull a card to start off your reading, to get an energy for your reading today, and possible theme for the month of January. And we have the Phoenix. So this card actually was the inspiration for a overcoming challenge reading that I did a few weeks back. I will link that in the description box below. I will also link in the description the 2025 forecast if you missed that. That will be in the description box below. So there's something that you're overcoming here, and it'll be interesting to see how this might weave into the overcoming challenge or obstacles reading that I did a couple weeks back. There's something that you are transcending, that you are moving above and beyond, that you have gone through, I feel, hell and back, or at least overcome some kind of difficulty or challenge, and now you are moving through to the other side. And I think January almost feels like the beginning of that. Now, this might take a number of months because I do see late autumn here. So late autumn in 2025 could be the moment where you're feeling like all of the challenge that you have been currently facing or have faced in 2024 has finally settled. But January is sort of that starting point of beginning that process of rebuilding, of becoming new again. Maybe even having a little more confidence in yourself. So this is a bit of a build-up that I'm feeling towards something. So let's get into your tarot now and tap into your energy and see where you're at and see what you're currently being challenged by. So Soul Path 2, please. Nine of Pentacles in reverse here. It can speak to self-esteem, low self-esteem, or a lack of confidence in an area of your life. It can also be a feeling of not feeling comfortable in your physical environment, whether that is home and or career. Okay, too many. That was like 5. Let's see, one more, please, Spirit. Thank you. So we have the Nine of Pentacles and the Ace of Cups in reverse. So when I mentioned confidence, this is coming through with the Nine of Pentacles, a lack of confidence, and just feeling really drained or really feeling not yourself in some regard. Overwhelmed, feeling drained, because what you might be investing in is sapping the energy from you, sapping your confidence, is not really offering you the returns that is making you feel fulfilled in any way. What's your challenge? Yes, strength. Okay, cards are being very clear about this. I think that this is part of this Phoenix Rising energy. This and your challenge is to reconnect in with your strength, your inner wisdom, your leadership, your confidence, your self-esteem that you have not been able to express. It has been suppressed possibly by your environment that you're in, whether that is home life environment or career and or job. There's something that is making you feel less than, that is not making you feel valued, and there's a not enough, I am not enough energy coming through. But I feel that's not true because you are stronger and more resilient than you think. You just don't know it. And that is the challenge for January. Again, that is the starting point. The root of the Phoenix Rising energy is that getting to the root of this feeling lack within self, of feeling drained or feeling suppressed, will help you then move from that new space, that stronger space, that more embodied, more empowered, more confident space to be able to create something that is a little more elevated than what you are experiencing now. And to me, this feels like an environmental influence. Again, that could be people, that could be where you find yourself in a career or a job. And that is not a true reflection of who you are or what you can bring to the world. Again, coming back to that strength, that you have a lot of compassion, a lot of grace, a lot of leadership within you, but that is not being nurtured within self or within the environment that you currently find yourself in. So there's a feeling of something new wants to break through here, but it's sort of up to you to be able to kind of unravel this and figure out what the root cause is so that you can really step into a more empowered energy and something that can help you move into your strength, that can move you into environments that support that. But we have to know that we are worthy first. We have to know our value first in order to attract and find environments that align with that. So I feel January is that starting point, is even that moment of building your self-confidence and your knowingness to lead yourself into better spaces, better places, to move towards better people, and to attract the things that you want. But again, it all starts with self and how we feel about ourselves, how we think about ourselves. And sometimes the environment can falsely make us believe in things that aren't true about ourselves. So I feel like environment is going to be something you need to observe and look at as kind of a number one thing. Could be the root cause. And again, that might not be your current environment. That could be a past environment as well that has trickled into your current moment or situation. We have the Five of Wands at the foundation. Let's look at past energy, the Tower in reverse. So something happened in your past that was quite unsettling, kind of rocked things a little bit, which maybe shook your confidence to some degree. You aspire for a new truth with the Ace of Swords and the upright. That's beautiful. And where you're moving, Queen of Cups. So let's take a peek at this. Ten of Swords at the bottom of the deck, which is just underlying energy. There's definitely a lot of pain that I'm feeling from possibly your past environment that was a little chaotic, that was never on solid foundation, that was always changing, so you couldn't really root yourself in maybe routines or your own sense of self because things were changing, people were projecting their stuff onto you. And I really feel the month of January is you really fighting for that. You really fighting for what you believe to be true about yourself and what you want to believe to be true. Not because of your experiences, not because of what somebody said. This is rising from the ashes. This is moving away from the pain and not allowing the pain to define who you are and your future. But again, rising above that adversity and challenge to define a new you. And that's what I feel with the Ace of Swords. Now, I feel like this has been the Five of Wands. This has been a little bit contentious. It has challenged you to some regard, because what you know is different than what people are telling you or what your environment is reflecting. So I feel like you need to uproot all of that old stuff and look at it in detail without judgment, but with observation, and understand that to be able to redefine it. We have to be able to look at our past, to look at our current situation, and ask if where we are at is where we feel we want to be. And if not, then how do we need to feel? How do we need to think? How do we need to move and act in order to move towards something of a higher self or in a more improved environment? And again, that has to do with how we see ourselves, how confident we are in our abilities and our skills and our value, because everything is decided from that place from within. The solar plexus chakra is coming through really strongly in this reading, and that is the center of our being, the center of our soul, how we express ourselves to the world, what we believe about ourselves. I feel those beliefs are changing slowly in the month of January, because there's a new truth here. You no longer want to maybe be challenged by the things that you believe versus your environment or whatever other people have said to you in the past. You want to fully realize yourself and step into your sensitivity, to honor your feelings, to honor your dreams, to feel deeply and be okay with that, to be able to navigate the emotions of it all, and to be able to separate what's yours versus what other people's impressions, opinions, feelings, emotions, and energy is. So there's a bit of a containment or a compartmentalization that I feel is kind of happening, because you are observing something, you are finding a new truth about something, and you are rewriting your script. You are rewriting your beliefs. You are rewriting maybe how you move, how you show up, how you speak. And that's moving you to a place where you're a little more attuned to who you are, generally speaking. Now, I feel like this does come at a little bit of a cost, which means we have to kind of face the painful thoughts, the painful beliefs that we've carried around, to be able to move beyond it, to be able to say, this is what I think, or this is what I believe. I no longer want to believe that, so let's replace it with something else, and to continue to do that and show up for that. But I feel like whatever it was that you might have been hanging on to or may have experienced has been quite painful, maybe was traumatic. So it's about really addressing that, really feeling that, to be able to move beyond it and leave it behind for good. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to forget, and it's never going to be a part of us, but it's no longer going to define what we believe to be true about ourselves, because there's a new truth here. There is a metamorphosis happening, and that is also reflected in the Phoenix rising energy here. So here's your environment with the Page of Wands. I feel like your ideas, your opinions, your efforts may have been really tampered down, and you haven't or weren't able to express yourself in a really authentic way. But you are stepping into more authenticity. Your hopes and fears are the decisions that you might have to make. So you want to be able to make decisions in a very clear way, and that is your hope. But you also fear either not making the decisions or making decisions that are the wrong ones. So it's about really observing things from your own point of view and understanding that whatever decisions that you make, whatever you have to cut out of your life or whatever you have to lean into more, understanding that this isn't to be mean to people. There's a way that you can deliver it that is very compassionate and loving and kind. But this is to help yourself live your life with a little more ease, a little less stress, and to live a little more truthfully or honestly, or to honor your feelings a little bit more than you have in the past. So I feel in this instance, there is no such thing as a wrong decision. You can only move from a place of, this is what I feel right now. That feeling could change down the road, and hopefully I can make a new decision. But as of right now, I have to honor how I feel. I have to honor what I want to be true and what I want to build up towards or move towards as a goal for myself. This is all personal development and spiritual development. And in that case, it's really tough to fold in the opinions and advice of other people, especially if it doesn't align with us, because personal growth and spiritual growth are very individual. And this is what I feel is happening here, is that you are detaching yourself from an old story, an old belief, to move into something that feels a little more true to you, and something that might be a little bit difficult to move towards, but it's going to feel better in the end for you. So let's look at where you're going to end up at the end of January. Where are you ending up? And the King of Pentacles, it is in reverse, so your values are changing. How you see yourself is changing. And we have the 10 of Pentacles in the reverse here as well. So it definitely feels like you are breaking some sort of, I want to say, beliefs that was impressed upon you in your family as you grew up. And this is something that you're breaking. So there's family cycles that you could be breaking here. There's karmic cycles that you could potentially be breaking. And no longer believing in the things that you once did. No longer valuing things that don't really align with you. And your values are changing, maybe even how you value yourself, how you value your work, how you value money is changing. Because of those shifts in values, because of you rewriting some kind of truth, it's going to start moving you into a different direction, and I feel a more aligned direction. But this is the beginning. I'm hearing that this is the beginning. So, let's see. Take a breath. With strength, there's your strength card again. So take a breath. Don't forget to take a time out and because this is hard work. And taking pause might be important for you along the way to not move hastily. That could be why the Two of Swords is in reverse, is that to not make decisions swiftly, but understand that there are some moments in time where decisions are required, even though you don't know the outcome, even though you might not have all of the information. In order to see movement and change, decisions must be made, but there needs to be a connection to your intuition, to your emotions, to what you feel is right, and sort of balance that decision with feeling and intuition as well as logic. And sometimes that's not going to be a perfect thing. So taking a break, taking a breath between decisions, between the things that you have to do is going to be important, especially when it comes to observing something. And then that strength is just coming around full circle to remind you of your strength. And this person is also sitting in lotus position in a very meditative state. So Dancing could be something that you could do if you're feeling challenged in the month of January, as well as meditation or yoga or something that really fosters stillness or observation of your environment around you, which will help you build up strength and build up some kind of knowing to be able to help you make decisions and move forward. So this is what I have for you, Soul Path 2. I hope that resonated and was helpful. With gratitude, I'm sending you my love. Stay curious, and I'll see you in your next reading. Hello, Soul Path 3. Welcome into your reading. You chose the amethyst crystal. So we are going to jump straight into the reading by getting a card for the month of January, which will be a main theme, or at least something to consider. We have nettle. Pay attention. So there's something here that you need to pay attention to observe. This could be something in the physical body where you felt a pain or a twinge or something that's just not working quite right. And it's kind of been hanging around, but maybe you've been ignoring it. So I would definitely pay attention to that and look into that a little bit more. There could also be something in general that you need to look into a little bit deeper. So there's something that just doesn't feel right, that doesn't look right. Rather than saying, oh, this will work itself out, or I will address it later, I feel like January is going to be the month where you have to look into it a little bit deeper. You have to look at the details. You have to observe something with focus. This is about seeing something or being seen. Seeing someone in a very individual, unique way, rather than seeing things through our own perspective, but seeing things as they are true to that person, to that situation, rather than seeing something in the way that we want to see it, or may even have overlooked altogether. This also makes me feel like there's something here that has been stinging you in some way or picking at you, and it needs attention. So again, coming back to that physical body where something has been tweaked or something has been bothering you, but you haven't addressed it. I even feel this in the mental realm as well, where there's an anxiety or something coming up, a feeling coming up that maybe you've overlooked or have ignored. January might be the month to ask questions and go a little deeper on, why is this occurring? Is this my energy? Is this a past hurt or a past pain that needs to be addressed or looked at or healed? Healing something within self could be a possible theme in the month of January, or simply just looking into something with a greater focus or in greater detail, without assumption and without judgment is the feeling that I'm getting with that. So let's take a look at your tarot. Sorry about the transition, if there was any. The camera phone died and the candle burned out, so I had to charge and come back at a later time to finish your reading. And that might be something for you as well, is that there is a time out that you might need to take in order to see something from a different perspective. I'm getting a lot of hanged man energy, pardon me, from that. So let's get a look at your current energy and see where you are at. We have the Fool. And we have the Wheel of Fortune. So big universal energies here. This feels like a challenge in itself. I feel like you are moving through some changes in your life. And there are some brand new beginnings that are trying to come in. I feel like you might even be ready for a new beginning. But in order to do that, something must be observed. You must pay attention to the changes that are occurring in your life. So there could be some resistance that you're feeling to certain endings and beginnings. I feel like flow is going to be part of this. I feel like it's a transition, whatever it might be, but the changes you are moving through are fresh new possibilities. So it's new landscapes, it's new people, it's possibly new careers, new jobs, new businesses. There's a lot of newness coming through, and this might take form of challenging changes in your external world that you have to navigate for a certain time, as there's certain things that are being closed out and new things being brought in. And this could also be changes within your physical body. As we chatted about earlier with the nettle, there's something that needs to be paid attention to or focused on at this time rather than resisted. So I almost feel like, again, that anxiety is coming through. There could be possible triggers that are coming up at this time. But I also feel like there is some resistance to the changes that are occurring right now. What is that resistance trying to inform you of? So looking in a little bit deeper in that. And the challenge is the star. So this is, again, more universal energy. Some big events could be occurring in the month of January, or you are currently experiencing this and trying to move through this and navigate it. With the star card, I get that there's some healing. So again, coming back to the physical and the mental bodies within self, maybe even emotional bodies, that are being brought to the surface at this time to be healed, to be transmuted, to be paid attention to or focused on. It's almost like I'm seeing a little kid's hand go up in the air and it's waving around, and it's saying like, hey, look at me, I need attention, I need something. Again, there's something here that needs some attention, whether that is in the physical or mental body. It could have to do with healing and or your lack of faith in something. So there's a lack of faith in possibly a new path, some changes that are occurring. So again, I'm getting a lot of healing. I'm getting a lot of changes that are occurring possibly towards the things that you have wished for. But right now, they're not looking like wishes coming true. In order for you to get towards this wish, towards whatever you have dreamt of, whatever you are manifesting, something big needs to shift in your life. It could be a whole bunch of little things as well, but something needs to be moved out of the way in order for you to take that next step or get to that destination. So let's take a peek in a little more detail. For Soul Path 3, please. Foundation is the Eight of Wands. Some things could be happening quite quickly for you. There could be some movement, travel, lots of communications. And maybe you feel like you want to move through this really quickly as well. So there could be a need to be ambitious in this particular process that you're moving through. We have the Six of Pentacles in the past position. We have the Death. So this is something that you might not be consciously aware of, but you could also be very well aware of something needing to transform. There could be a habit, a behavior, a value, a person, a situation that you knew and have known for some time needs to be moved on from, needs to be transformed in a new way. There's change that I feel you are desiring. And it feels very clear to me that in your kind of awareness or within your aspiration that this is something you aspire to. It may not look what you expected it to look like, but I feel the month of January is going to start see some of those things slowly move out of your life, slowly fade away. So it's kind of like you're getting what you've asked for, but not in the way that you've asked for it. So one more. It's too many. One more. One more, please. Soul Path 3, strongest. Thank you. The Hierophant. Okay. So, strength at the bottom of the deck. This is being compassionate and being really graceful with yourself at this time. Especially when you're moving through difficult things, difficult changes, there could be some judgment coming through or lack of confidence that you cannot do these difficult things, you cannot move through these changes, or possibly see your life any better on the other side of this. But I think that's the point. There's some surprises that I feel are going to come through, and that is why you have to pay attention to the process, pay attention to what is shifting within you as well as in the external world as well. I do feel like you want to move through this really quickly, but I almost feel like you're going to miss something along the way. So I feel like there could be some fast moving energy happening in the month of January. But there could also be, there's difference in speed here. So what's kind of in the subconscious and kind of lying in the foundation is this quick movement, but in the conscious and in your awareness and aspiration, you want things to move a little slower. So there's this shift in speeds that I feel, maybe you are wanting things to go faster or slower, and the universe is doing the opposite of that. So it's kind of building that resistance a little bit and maybe making you feel like you're on unsolid ground, because the way things are moving is not how you would imagine or how you would consciously want this to occur. You don't want everything to change at once. Maybe you want things to change little by little, but I feel like there's a big sweep happening here. And the things that are moving out relatively quickly are things that have been slowly decaying over time and may not necessarily be recoverable. What I get with the Six of Pentacles is comfort, balance, and harmony, which are beautiful things, but just like everything in life, it is temporary. So I feel you're almost moving away from that. I feel like for a time you have had a certain sense of stability, of balance and harmony, of give and take, but there's a call for something new. And within that new, this transition, there's going to be some discomfort. So that's going to require you to really learn how to be comfortable and find routines and find your spirituality and faith in this moment. So it's almost like you're moving from the day-to-day things that offer you that balance and that harmony and that routine to something that is a little more profound. There's a spiritual growth happening here. There is a development of hope, faith, being open to possibilities and dreams, but also rooting down into your spirituality, possibly into your religious beliefs, in your new routines, and help build your strength in times of change, in times of transition. So January, I feel, is going to be something that you have to bring a lot of awareness to self and how you are managing, how you are moving through this change, how open or closed or welcoming or resistant you are to certain things going on in your life, and how much control you feel you have over things, and how much influence do you have over things. Because I feel like there might be a sense of having to control something that you have no control over. There's a lot of universal energies happening here with a lot of major arcanas. You have 5 out of the 7 being major arcanas. So this is the universe kind of pushing you along, and there's nothing you can do to stop certain changes or cycles or moments of growth from happening. So you really have to ask yourself, how can I show up in this moment in the best way possible without trying to control outcomes, without having expectations, but to maybe look at what I can control, what I can pay attention to and influence. And that sphere of influence, especially with all this universal energy, might be quite small. So just be mindful of that so that you don't feel frustrated or stressed. So let's look at your environment. Yeah, there's a lack of balance in your environment, and moderation is going to be key. So again, I'm getting that feeling of if you're pushing forward or forcing too much, it might be time to let off the gas, to slow down, to observe, to focus and learn something, to learn how to navigate. There's a trial and error that's coming through. So trying different things and seeing what works rather than rooting yourself into old ways that may be moving out of your life and no longer working as they once did. Let's look at hopes and fears. Yeah, there is justice. There is a hope that balance will be restored again. But there's also a fear that it won't be. And you have a lot of balance cards. You have 6 of Pentacles, which is equal amounts of give and take, of push and pull. You have both Justice and the Temperance, which speaks to that balancing energy and bringing things right again. So yeah, there's also a feeling of wanting to have the truth, but also fearing that the truth is something different than what you have had in the past, and not knowing what to do with that truth, not knowing what this new path might bring, because you are I feel like you're completely shifting away from something that has been hanging around that needs to be let go of. It could be multiple things, it could be one thing, and now you're in a new space of, I'm trying to get balance, but I don't know what that looks like. But you also, I feel like you desire that. Internally, you desire that fresh start, that new beginning, that new way of doing. So again, I'm getting that resistance again. If I want this, but I don't want it in this way. So outcome, Four of Pentacles. Yes, there needs to be some flexibility during this time, a release of things that you once knew, that you are holding on to, that may not be serving you in the way that it did. I also feel like you're moving to a higher form of abundance. So I almost wonder if at some point you felt like this is all I can have, or this is all that I'm worth, or this is all that I'm ever going to believe or experience. I feel like there's something bigger opening up and expanding for you. And this is the process to getting to that. So it requires you to release your grip on what you think things should be, and those expectations and those shoulds and those judgments of yourself, and to allow for a certain time. Taking action when you need to, obviously, doing what you need to do, but also allowing for the universe to carry you where I feel it's trying to take you. So final inspiring message for Soul Path 3, please. Final closing message for Soul Path 3. You can let me know in the comments what this might be, what you might be moving towards. But I feel that's pretty significant, whatever it is. One more card, please, for Soul Path 3 to end their reading. Shadow work. That might be quite helpful for you. And beginnings at the bottom of the deck. So new beginnings, I mean, that's no secret. Something new, fresh, inspiring is coming through. You may not know what that looks like as you kind of move through some of this energy in the month of January. Shadow work could be very helpful for you to understand what has been preventing you from moving forward, from opening yourself up to some big, beautiful ideas or dreams, because that might pinpoint, and that could be going back to our pay attention. There could be some shadow aspects of self coming through in the month of January that need to be paid attention to, that need to be focused on, that may need to be looked at a deeper level to understand, where did this belief come from? Why am I resisting a certain thing? Why am I being triggered or have anxiety about something else? This might be a good time to look at that so you can finally release its grip over you. And that could be what is changing in the month of January, is that there is a shadow aspect of self that has been holding you back or keeping you off balance, that is now trying to shift and change out of your life into something that will allow you a little bit more freedom. But it's up to you to kind of look at that at a deeper level so that you can have this new beginning and not allow it to hold you back anymore. So this is what I have for you, Soul Path 3. I hope that this resonated and was helpful to you. With gratitude, I'm sending you love. Stay curious, and I'll see you in your next reading. Hello, my Soul Path 4. Welcome into your reading. You chose the Selenite Stick. And let's hop straight into your reading by getting a theme card for the month of January. Could also be a challenge card as well. And if you're looking for a yearly 2025 reading, I did do that last week. So check the description box or the videos tab on my main channel page. Okay, so let's see. We have Camel, preserve. Interesting. Persevere and you will overcome problems. So I'm getting the Seven of Wands energy from that. And because I said preserve, I'm getting when it's like water in the hump. It's like that preservation of preserving yourself for the things that are most important. So not scattering your energy too thin in the month of January, but focus on what's the most priority, the most important thing that needs to be addressed. And if you're able to muster up enough energy to continue on down the list, rather than trying to tackle everything all at once. So perseverance of just continuing along the path, no matter how fast or how slow, and to just move very methodically, check in with your energy stores to make sure that you're able to show up for yourself and the people in your life. And yeah, I feel that will really help you. Kind of managing that energy source is really going to help you overcome challenges in the month of January. So let's take a peek at your cards, your tarot cards. For Soul Path 4, please. We have the Eight of Swords in reverse. It's very positive. I feel like, ooh, the Moon. Okay, so Eight of Swords in reverse and the Moon. So there has been a release of feeling stuck. And I feel like you're facing, it's interesting, I just feel like you're facing some kind of challenge head on in the month of January. And you're not fearful of it anymore. You're not worried about it anymore. You don't have doubt. It's almost like you can't not take this path. It's like you were meant to take this path, and in order for you to persevere and move forward, some limiting beliefs of can't or won't or shouldn't have been or will be released, because I feel like those have been limiting you in the past. It's been a cycle that you have consciously decided, I cannot live in this mindset anymore, this cycle of thought, this overthinking, this self-doubt. And I'm just going to go on this new path in spite of not knowing all of the answers, in spite not knowing where this is going to take me. Following your intuition and not almost getting out of your head and getting into your soul, your intuitive body, and knowing, having a deep knowing that you can do this. And there's that perseverance energy. There's that methodical one foot in front of the other. And that is sometimes all we need to get through a challenge, is to just move forward as slowly as we need to move, one day at a time. Seven of Swords is your challenge. So again, I feel that strategy is coming into play. Maybe some planning is required in order to know what that next right step is. And there's a focus coming through. So again, not scattering your energy too thin, and really focusing on kind of the North Star, where you want to head and where you want to end up. Knowing that, yes, it's going to be challenging and difficult, but knowing that this is going to help me move on from something that has held me back. It could be a person, it could be a limiting belief or a thought process. It could be this idea of breaking an old truth that is actually a false truth. So there's a false truth being broken here. And in order to do that, you have to ask yourself some really difficult, challenging questions. You have to move through a little bit of the dark and ask yourself, who am I? What value do I offer? What do I believe in? What do I value? And so there's a little bit of a deeper knowingness that's coming through as a result of this moving forward, in spite of fear, in spite of doubt. So let's take a look at the rest of your reading here. We'll get 4 cards. 5 of Pentacles. I love that at the foundation. Okay. Ace of Cups in reverse. We have the Ace of Wands in your past position. Ace of Cups in reverse as your aspiration. And the 10 of Pentacles in your future, or where you're headed position. So we have a couple of aces here. We have another ace on the bottom of the deck, Ace of Swords. We talked about truth and not seeing the truth, not having clarity about the path forward possibly, or even maybe who you are, or how do I align with a new set of beliefs, with a new mindset. Five of Pentacles in reverse at the foundation of your reading tells me that you are possibly moving away from a lack mindset. You no longer want to live here anymore. You no longer want to believe that lack and challenge, especially when it comes to money, that this is all I'm capable of, this is all that I'm worth. And so I really feel like there's a false illusion being broken, a false belief about yourself that is being broken, and you're willing to kind of move through this darkness and this challenge and adversity to be able to break that. It's like the fear of staying stuck no longer has power over you, but you are facing that fear head on. You are facing the darkness head on, and you're okay with only taking the truth that feels good and aligned to you. So again, that perseverance is coming through, of pushing through the challenge and the things in your physical world that is maybe making you believe that this is it. This is all I have to offer. This is all that I'm worth or capable of. You're really challenging that. You're really challenging yourself. You're really challenging the universal energies in that, and you're persevering towards something new because you refuse to believe that this is it. And you know that you are capable of more, and you can have more and are more. What's interesting is that we have the Ace of Wands in the past position. Tells me that you planted some kind of seed of inspiration, desire. There's some kind of mission or purpose that really excited you, that you started maybe thinking about, or planting the seeds for, putting yourself out there, taking a little bit of inspired action towards it. Now, because it's in your past position, I think it's strictly speaking to the thing that you planted is now coming into fruition as we relate it to the Ten of Pentacles in what you're moving towards. Something that you planted in your past is now being nurtured, now being developed in a way that can offer you a sense of stability and more abundance. And then we have the Ace of Cups in reverse as the aspiration. Maybe your aspiration is to get into more of your feeling, to get into more of the emotions of things, and you're not afraid to feel all of that. Maybe this is a quest to figure out what has drained you, what has really made you feel that sense of lack, that emotional lack, maybe even that physical lack. And maybe finding ways to fill your cup up again. So maybe part of this quest, rather than pushing forward and forcing your way through, is to get into the flow of things, to allow things to unfold, to even observe your emotions and feelings as it pertains to your limiting beliefs, your false truths, the illusions that you might be seeing at this time, so that you can fully step into this abundance and figure out what is really going to fulfill you and satisfy you in the long term. And then the Ten of Pentacles as what you're moving towards, it's definitely something to do with you wanting to leave a strong legacy, a strong foundation for yourself, that is built on your values, that is built on the things that you truly believe, not in the things that you feel you can't or you shouldn't, but it's kind of pushing beyond this mindset, this lack mindset, to feel abundant, to see abundance, to experience abundance, more than just on a monetary level, but to really have gratitude for the time, the energy, the effort that you put into something that not just possibly offered you a monetary return, but it also made you feel good in the process. It filled you up. It pushed beyond your limitations. It helped you grow. it helped you create an environment and a life and a physical body that is well tended, well kept. So there's health and wellness here just as much as there is possibly building something up from the ground up. But this is something that you can't really understand until you start walking that path and being very conscious of putting this stuckness or these limitations or restrictions behind you, knowing that I can offer more, I can do more, I am more, and in the end, I can have more. But it's changing that truth. But it's almost like you have to believe it before you see it. So let's look at your environment. So 6 of Pentacles in your environment. Yeah, there's a lot of balance that's coming through in your environment. There's a lot of give and take. There's a reciprocity here, which I feel you are kind of building up for yourself. Let's see, hopes and fears. Aha, yeah, that makes sense. There's a hope of the foundations being changed, of beliefs being challenged, of things changing in a very significant way, because you no longer want to stay in this 8 of Swords and 5 of Pentacles energy. But there's also a fear of that as well. There's a hope that it'll all change, but there's a fear that it will change. And what does that look like? So I feel like you have to be really conscious about not waiting for the right opportunity, but knowing when to make changes as they kind of come through, as you need to, as intuitively guided. Because there's definitely something that you know with the 8 of Swords, and something that you know that you might need to move through in order to shift the foundations. Because this 8 of Swords, I feel, is heavily rooted in something that you've been carrying for a long time. Again, I'm getting cycles, because 8s can be cyclical, ebbs and flows, and I feel this has really prevented you from moving forward. So it's about persevering with motivation and inspiration, and having that inspiration, not being fearful of the changes and the emotions that might come up, but knowing that there's something more, I want to say, secure, more stable, more inspiring, more fulfilling for you on the other side of this. That could be for physical health as well as any monetary gain. Let's see where you're going to end up at the end of January. End of January. Queen of Wands in reverse. So you're going to, yeah, this is all about learning a new way of doing something. So being really patient with yourself and understanding that I don't want to say it's going to be difficult or challenging. I think it will to certain degrees, because you are breaking old patterns, and old patterns require an awareness and a consistent and constant shifting in the way we speak to ourselves and the way we think, and that can take some time to unravel. So you might not feel very confident because you're learning so many new things at once, because you're learning a new truth, you're learning a new way of doing something, and to not worry about making mistakes, but to simply use those mistakes as something to learn and something to change and shift and adapt to. And don't personalize any mistakes that you might make as well. Don't let it shatter your confidence. There might be that lack of confidence at the end of the month because you are doing a lot of new things. You have 2 aces here, and there's going to be a lot that comes up, especially as it pertains to the moon and as it pertains to the Tower. So yes, there might be some difficulty, there might be discomfort, but it's because you are shifting into a different timeline, if you want. That's kind of the easiest way. But when we break old patterns, we change the shape of who we are, how we act, And this is a personal and spiritual growth that we're moving towards. And so to not think that just because we're doing something new and it feels uncomfortable and awkward doesn't mean that we're not doing something right, doesn't mean it's not for us. It simply just means that we have to learn a new way of doing something, especially if an old way is no longer working for us and we no longer want to sit in that energy. We want to elevate. And I do see the elevation here with the Queen of Wands, but you're not quite confident in how you are kind of holding yourself. So just be okay with that discomfort for a time as you kind of settle into this new energy and move through all of the emotions and changes that are kind of required to get you out of this restriction, limitation, and lack mindset. So one final card for Soul Path 4, please. Focus. This is focus. To focus on where you're headed, to focus on where you are now and how those two things kind of align. How can you bridge that gap? And this is a very day-to-day thing, I feel. It's not something where you can go from the Eight of Swords and, okay, I'm getting rid of all of these patterns of thinking and overthinking, and I'm just automatically going to shift into a new way of being. This is going to take time and a constant awareness and focus of shifting that mindset, of noticing when you're settling back into those patterns and really refocusing and shifting those ways of thinking very consciously until you form a new habit. So this is what I have for you, Soul Path 4. I hope that it resonated and was helpful to you. With gratitude, I'm sending you love. Stay curious, and I'll see you in your next reading.